Hello, my name is Michelle from the Chainguard Academy, and in this video we will be exploring how to use the Nginx Chainguard image. We will be using Nginx to serve static content to a local web server. If you would like to follow along at home, please make sure that you have both Docker Engine and Nginx installed on your machine. We also have a written version of this tutorial which you can find at the Chainguard Academy at edu.chainguard.dev, which you can also see here on my screen now. In this demonstration, I will be using a macOS based system, though this tutorial can also be conducted on a Linux system. If you are using a Linux system, I suggest you refer to the written tutorial as you follow along, since there are some slight changes that you will need to make along the way. Okay, let's get started. First, we will configure Nginx to run locally with a custom configuration file. You can find a GitHub repository with the code used in this demo at the chainguard-dev/edu-images-demos repository, which is on my screen now. I have already cloned this repository locally, so we'll head over to my IDE and check it out. Here is the repository that I have cloned, specifically looking at the Nginx folder. There are a few files included in this demo. The data directory contains the static content that Nginx will use to run, including an HTML file, an image, and some CSS. We also have a Docker file, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Most notably, we have the Nginx configuration file, which Nginx will be using to run. It contains some basic directives and settings for our Nginx web server. You can see in the location directive here, for me it is line 21, that there is an absolute path referring to the data directory. You will need to make sure that you update this path to reference the data directory on your machine. If you're using a Linux machine, your path may look closer to what is on line 23. Now that we have this file path updated, we can go ahead and run Nginx. Go ahead and navigate to your terminal and type in Nginx-C followed by the absolute path to this configuration file. Again, this path will look different depending on your machine, so make sure that the path you are using is relevant to where your configuration file is. This -C flag allows us to specify where the configuration file is. Otherwise, Nginx would attempt to use the default configuration that came with its installation. Once you have that typed in, you can go ahead and execute the command, and Nginx won't give us any output at the command line, but we can head over to our web browser again and head to localhost:8080, and there you can go ahead and see that we have our simple web server with a picture of Inky and a fun fact about the Wolfie octopus. We can stop Nginx by heading back to our terminal and typing in Nginx-S quit. That -S specifies a signal that we are sending to Nginx. In this case, it is quit. And then again, if we go back to our website and refresh, we will see that it was successfully shut down. Now we will go ahead and move on to the next step, which is running this demo in the Nginx Chainguard image. If we take a look at our Docker file, we will see a few statements here that will help us facilitate this. First, the from statement specifies the image we are using as a base image. In this case, it is the Nginx Chainguard image. Next, the expose statement tells us which ports we want to expose when running the image. Please note that this statement doesn't expose the ports for us. It only provides information to the developer so they can expose the port at runtime. Finally, the copy statement will add the data folder into our image so Nginx can serve this custom static content. Now, with Docker Engine running, let's build our image. Head back to your terminal and enter the following command, making sure that you are in the directory where your Docker file is. Docker build -t nginx-demo. Once you execute this command, this will build our image, and we will name it Nginx-demo. When the build is finished, we can go ahead and run the image using the command docker run -d -name nginx container -p 8080:8080 Nginx-demo. The name flag will name our container Nginx container. The P flag will expose port 8080 in the container to the same port on our machine, which will allow us to view the static content. And finally, we're specifying that we're using the Nginx-demo image that we just built in the previous step. Execute this command and navigate back to your web browser. If you refresh, you can see the same site that we saw before, this time running from our container image. Running Nginx in a container is a great way to keep your web server easily portable and modifiable. If you'd like to learn more about using the Nginx Chainguard image, you can check out the Chainguard Academy at edu.chainguard.dev, where you can find more information about the Nginx image and many other Chainguard images. Happy programming!